Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
One of the toughest problems Wyatt Earp had to repeatedly contend with in taming the wild and lawless cowtown of Wichita was mob rule, when otherwise respectable citizens, and some not so respectable, tried to take the law into their own hands.
Where's that coffee, Tex?
On up.
Morning, Shorty.
How'd you do?
How's things at the Rainbow Ranch? Some coffee?
No thanks. Well, we're losing cattle now and then.
You're not the only one. Every ranch of the 100 miles of Wichita has been losing cows lately.
Including us.
Well, maybe the rustling's over with now, after what I just seen.
What'd you see?
I seen Bill Slocum in a gully out between the Salt Flats and Miller Creek.
Well, that's our range.
He had a fire going and a cow roped on the ground.
Whose cow? One of his?
No, Duke. One of yours.
What?
Yeah. I seen the brand plain on her hide.
Maybe Bill Slocum's been doing all this rustling all along, Duke.
Sure looks like it. Using the running iron, I reckon.
Now, I didn't exactly see him use the running iron. It might be that he had that cow tied up for some other reason.
Sure. Why else would he have a fire going? Unless to heat up an iron to change a brand.
Yeah. Why else?
You know, we ought to make a call on Bill Slocum. Teach him the error of his ways, Duke.
Sit down, Shorty.
No thanks, Duke. I gotta go back to Rainbow. So long, fellas.
Thanks for the information,
So long.
Shorty. Now we get that river bottom land that Bill Slocum claims is his for nothing.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's a good thing we got Shorty for a witness.
Sure is. No one would believe it if one of my riders claimed he saw Bill rustling. Tex, you better get the boys. We're going to a party.
Where do I pick up Bill? At his ranch?
No, he'll be at the cattlemen's meeting this afternoon in Wichita. We'll take him in hand there.
You think that's a good idea? Wyatt Earp might cause us some trouble.
This happened out of town. It isn't any of Earp's business. And if he's as smart as people claim he is, he'll be looking in the other direction when we pick up Bill.
You're the boss.
Is the meeting over? Hi, Moss. Bill?
What?
Mr. Delaney, how'd the meeting end up?
Oh, like all meetings, a lot of talk, no action. Me, I'm a man who wants a little action.
Like what?
Well, I'd rather not say. But one thing I do know, if I lose many more cattle to the rustlers, I'm going into bankruptcy.
Maybe you ought to hire a couple of range detectives yourself.
There you are, Moss.
No, I can do my own detecting. If I catch anyone following my herds around, I'll string them up to the tallest tree in Kansas.
That wouldn't be very wise, Mr. Delaney.
You got a better idea?
Yeah, you catch anybody rustling, you ought to turn them over to the proper authorities and let them give them a fair trial.
Fair trial? Why, the courts would let a man like that go scot-free 9 times out of 10.
Well, if he's innocent, naturally. You forget that all of us are innocent until proven guilty. I'll see you.
Yeah. Well, it's plain to see he's got no cows to lose. Earp or no Earp, if I catch me a rustler, I'm going to see just how far his neck will stretch. Well, so long, Bill. Say hello to the wife and the young'uns.
All right.
Going somewheres, Bill?
Going into that saloon if it's any of your business, which it ain't.
Says he's going in for a drink, Duke.
You haven't got time for that drink, Bill. There's your horse. Get on.
What's the idea of pulling a gun on me?
Get on your horse like Duke says.
Put him on his horse.
Where are we taking him, Duke?
The Cottonwood Grove at Cowskin Camp.
Wyatt, Duke Wilson and his boys just buffaloed Bill Slocum. They're taking him out of town. I heard Duke say something about the Cottonwood Grove at Cowskin Camp. Looks like they plan to lynch Bill.
You all set, Tex?
All set, Duke.
Shorty Beckett saw it all, so we have proof, if we need it.
No use my telling you got the wrong man. You know who's been doing the rustling around here.
Much obliged for the river bottom land, Bill. After you slip the noose over his head, I'll hit the horse.
Get the rope off that horse and turn it loose.
You're sticking your nose into something that's none of your business, Wyatt.
Well, I figure lynching's every man's business, Duke.
Your authority don't extend beyond the town limits of Wichita.
You must be mistaken. Seems to me I got quite a lot of authority right here in my hand. Now, you can't kidnap a man on our main street and bring him out here to hang him, or did somebody forget to tell you that? All right, Tex, cut him loose. I said cut him loose!
That's for past favors.
Man's a proven rustler, you know that.
Yeah, who proved it?
Shorty Beckett saw him using a running iron on one of my cows this morning.
Why, you...
Take it easy, Bill. That's hard in the knuckles. Go on, climb on your horse. We'll start back to town.
Well, I guess we know now how you feel about rustlers, Mr. Wyatt Earp.
Look, proof of a man's guilt is only decided by a court of law. If you get any charges to bring against Mr. Slocum, you do it in the proper manner. And we'll have a trial by judge and jury. They'll decide whether your charges are true or not. That's the way civilized people do it, Duke, just in case you're interested.
You haven't heard the last of this.
What are you going to do about it, Duke?
Tex, you hightail back to the ranch with the boys and get your guns. Meet me at Allen's Corner about an hour before sundown.
All right.
Heard about things like lynching parties, but that was too close. Wyatt, ever had anything like that happen to you?
No. Never worn a noose yet, but I think there are a lot of boys around Wichita that got some hemp all picked out for me.
Mighty awful feeling. You can't do anything about it. You can't reason with anybody. You can't convince them.
Well, I tell you, Bill, half the trouble of being a marshal is trying to protect men from lynch mobs.
If it hadn't been for you, I'd be dead right now. Sure. And what would they have done to those guys if they had lynched me?
Well, they'd have been arrested, tried.
Sure, and I'd have been dead. And the law would have just pointed their finger at them and said, you're bad, bad boys. Isn't that right?
No, you're wrong. They'd have been found guilty. Now, come on, get hold of yourself. Try to think of something else.
All right. All right, what do I do now?
You stay here in jail under my custody. Till I can prove your case one way or the other.
Stay here in jail? You just got through telling me that one of your biggest troubles is keeping away lynch mobs. If you keep me in there, they're bound to try and get me.
Now, look, cool off and try and forget about it. You're going to stay here.
Getting out of here. Now, look, if I'm going to die, I'm not going to do it like a sitting duck. I'm going to take someone with me. Wyatt, you saved my life. I don't want it to be you. Now, get out of my way.
I didn't think you'd fall for anything like that. You know, that gun isn't loaded.
I know that trick, and I know it's loaded.
Well, if I were you, I'd break it open and make sure.
I know that trick, too, and I know it's loaded.
Are you sure, Mr. Slocum?
Don't make me pull the trigger, Wyatt.
You know, I keep that gun unloaded because it's a good test on prisoners. I've had a couple of them pull the trigger on me.
You're bluffing. I'm sorry, Wyatt. I could have killed you. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think you wanted to really pull that trigger.
No, I guess it didn't. Look, doesn't that prove to you I'm innocent?
No, it just proves you're not a murderer. It's a long road from rustling cattle to shooting a man in cold blood.
But I am innocent.
Then you ought to be willing to stand trial. The lynch mob, they don't go by the law and they don't go by evidence, but the judge and jury will.
How do I know
Settle it in court, Bill. Otherwise, you're going to have that thing hanging over your head the rest of your life, and I can't keep you in protective custody forever.
All right, put me on trial.
Good. I'll make the arrangements with Judge Jewett.
What? She'll want to thank you.
Come on, I'll put you in. So.
Well, thanks, boys. I'll tell the marshal. Wyatt. Duke Wilson and his men are in the joints around Keno Corner talking up a mob to come after Bill Slocum.
I had the scheduled time pretty well. That's why I'm eating supper now. I didn't think I'd have time for it later.
He's got a lot of half-drunk troublemakers ready to follow him.
Drunks usually make up the major portion of any mob.
You might need the townspeople to back you up. Shall I ring the triangle, Wyatt?
No, don't ring the triangle. I think the best way to handle a lynch mob like this is for me and my deputies to try and reason with them. If I had a mob backing me up, too, it's liable to bring on the fight they're all spoiling for. Cause wholesale slaughter on both sides. Come on. Here they come.
That's far enough. You're digging your own grave, Wyatt. We want Bill Slocum. Now get out of our way or we'll mow you down.
Duke, you take one more step toward me and I'll kill you.
Go on, Duke. Don't let that tin horn bluff you.
If any of you think I'm bluffing, just take one step forward. I got 5 slugs in here and 2 barrels loaded with buckshot to spray both sides of the street. Between them, I don't think I can miss more than half of you. Well, Mr. Delaney, I'm surprised to see you with this irresponsible bunch. Most of them half drunk, all of them just itching to string somebody up. They don't care who or what the reason is. Yeah. I guess the opinion I once had of you being a fair man was all wrong.
Well, I've been losing a lot of cows lately, Wyatt. And I sure feel any man that's a rustler should be strung up to the highest tree in all of Kansas.
Well, I'm not saying a rustler shouldn't be punished, Mr. Delaney. But why don't you let the law decide what punishment should fit the crime? Let them carry it out.
Law? With a rigged jury, I reckon.
The jury will be made up of cowmen. Now, who'd be better qualified to decide whether a man's a rustler or not than men like yourself?
Then you figure to give Bill a trial? Not let him go loose like Duke here claims?
Bill's going to trial tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. The charge of rustling. Judge Jewett tells me he's planning on having you as foreman of the jury.
Well, maybe he's right. Maybe that's the right way to do it.
Oh, no, he's just trying to grease you up, Jeff.
You lied to me when you said Wyatt figured to let Bill go free.
Yeah, what makes you think he won't?
Because one thing about Wyatt, he don't lie. If he says Bill Slocum's going on trial, and with me, foreman of the jury, well, then that's so. Come on, break it up. What are you hanging around here for? Come on.
Hold it! All you men are carrying guns in violation of a city ordinance. Before you start back to your saloons, you walk ahead of me to Judge Jewett's office and pay your fines. Guns are not to be worn within the city limits of Wichita. In the future, I advise you all to remember that. It'll save you a lot of money. Now get walking. Go on, move! Well, good evening, Bill. I had your dinner, huh?
Yeah, I didn't eat very much. I lost my appetite.
I got word out to your wife. Told her you'd be staying in town tonight on business. Didn't want her to worry about you.
Much obliged. Oh, and thanks, too, Wyatt, for stopping that gang of drunks from pulling me out of here.
Oh, forget it. Now, you're going to stand trial at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. I think you're innocent, Bill. But thinking's not enough. I got to have proof. Otherwise, that jury just might see fit to bring in a verdict of guilty. You know what that means?
I thought a man had to be proven guilty, not innocent.
Well, that's the usual way. But everyone's a little touchy about losing cattle. They're just liable to let the circumstantial evidence carry enough weight to prove your guilt. Now, you better give me some idea where I can locate most of your herd, and I'll take a ride out there first thing in the morning and have a look-see. Maybe we can figure out something.
Morning, Mr. Earp.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Grimmick.
What are you doing up so early?
Well, I came to get my horse, but my key doesn't work.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. I changed the lock. I'm going to have to give you a new key.
Well, I'm glad you finally told me about it.
Oh, you want your horse, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to take a little ride in the country.
Well, this is kind of a funny day to be taking a ride. I heard there's going to be a big time over in town today. What with Bill Slocum standing trial and all.
Yeah, well, I'll be back in plenty of time for that.
Court's in session. Quiet in the courtroom. We have the case against Bill Slocum, accused of rustling. Stand up, Bill. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, of course.
You don't need that "the course" in there. Simmer down, Paul. Bill wants to emphasize the fact that he thinks he's innocent. Let him. I don't see the counsel for the defense. Any of you gents know where Wyatt Earp is?
What's Wyatt Earp got to do with the trial, Judge?
He's going to act as defense counsel.
Ain't that a little irregular, Judge?
Well, it would be ordinarily, but Wyatt asked me if he could. I said yes, which makes it regular.
Well, I guess it don't matter much, seeing as how we got enough evidence to hang Bill anyway. Only hope Wyatt ain't as fast with his tongue as he is with his guns.
Now, let's get on with the case. Wyatt will show up at any time. Bill, you better step over here at the stand and give us your side of the story.
Raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Stand.
And you'll never get a cowman to believe that you had that fire burning for any reason but to heat up a running iron.
Like I said, I roped that cow before dawn. I had to wait for it to get light.
What were you doing putting your rope on a Duke cow? She ain't your property.
While I was waiting for it to get light enough to see that Duke brand plain, I started the fire to fix my breakfast.
Why were you so curious about the brand on a Duke cow? To see if you could blot it out some way?
I've been losing a lot of stock lately, both cows and calves, and I thought that cow was mine. I was certain of it.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
In my courtroom, Wyatt?
Oh, nothing will go wrong, I assure you, Honor.
Proceed.
Are you trying to say that you think Duke Wilson's been stealing your cows?
I am, and I was trying to prove it.
It ain't bad enough that you rustle from a man, but you got to turn around and accuse him of doing it to you.
I'd like to say a few words to all of you.
I object, Judge. I got the floor here, and I intend to keep it.
Let Wyatt speak his piece. He's gone out and gotten some evidence. Maybe it'll settle this case.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Murdoch, would you give me a hand?
Glad to.
Now, one of the things you cowmen should have taken into consideration before taking for granted that Mr. Slocum here was the rustler was the almost impossible task for Bill to change a brand like Duke, which has got 4 letters in it, into his own brand, the bar D, which has only got 1 letter with a small bar running through it. Now, if for no other reason, I figured Bill was innocent because of this. But now take a look how easy it is to change Bill's bar D brand into the Duke brand, simply by blotting out the small bar that runs through the D on the branding iron and adding the 3 letters U-K-E. Now, if you excuse me, I have a witness I'd like to bring in. Now, whose cow would you say this was?
Well, that's one of Bill Slocum's cows. Got his brand, Bar D.
All right, we know it's Bill's cow. Now, Mr. Delaney, it's pretty easy, isn't it, to tell which calf belongs to which cow?
Easiest thing in the world. If the calf ain't hers, the cow won't have nothing to do with it.
All right, now, if this cow had a calf, what brand would be on the calf?
The same brand as the cow, of course.
The Bar D brand, in other words.
Yeah?
Well, now, what if the calf had a different brand than the Bar D?
Well, that'd be rustling, plain and simple.
And, Mr. Delaney, how would you identify the rustler?
The rustlers be them that's got their brand on the calf.
Thank you. Mr. Grimmick?
Well, look at that. It's Duke what's the rustler. It ain't Bill Slocum.
You two stay there.
Let us have them 2, Wyatt. We'll give them what they figure to give to Bill Slocum. Only we'll give it to 'em proper.
Order. That's a fine way for a jury to behave.
Your Honor, I'll put these 2 men under arrest.
Good. And I'm dismissing the case against Bill Slocum.
I'd like to say a few more words, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Wyatt.
Now, you men got to get it through your thick skulls that the days of lynching are over on this frontier. If you continue ignoring the law, you can bet your bottom dollar we'll never get out of the woods at all. Ollie, I want to take him to jail. We got a nice cell and 2 bunks waiting for him.
Order's adjourned.
Well, just saying thanks doesn't sound like much, but thanks a lot. Gotta be getting on my way. My family will start worrying. See you soon, Wyatt.
See you, Bill.
Come on, baby. Go on. You did a fine job, Wyatt. You saved Bill's life.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Murdoch, you got to kind of give credit where credit's due. Had quite a bit of help from that calf and its mother.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail. Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be